Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the most important news and editorial of the day will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with news topic list. Today is 4th of April. The first news is BharatNet likely to miss the deadline. The government has set a deadline for 2025, which is expected to miss. We'll see the detail about this as well. Second, good export from pre-pandemic level, some achievement that has been made on the export sector. Third, case of infection from diabetic medication in India. This is something which is concerning for India's healthcare sector and especially the patient of diabetics. Second last, new accessibility guideline to use universal design approach. Some changes, some new regulations are coming with regards to the design and part. We'll see the detail of this as well. And at the end, there is going to be an editorial, which title is Ramping Up Renewables, right? Apart from this, there will be some MCQ questions. These questions will be for practice for the upcoming prelims examination. And these questions will be based on current affairs, right? So without any further delay, let's get started. And if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. And before I proceed, just to tell you about the UPSC CSE Prelims test series, you'll get 60 high quality tests in this test series along with 12-month IAS guested subscription. For more details, you can refer to the description where I provided a dedicated link to register for this course. This is the time that you need to practice a good question. You can check out the course. Now, first news, that is BharatNet likely to miss the deadline. This particular news is important for General Studies Paper 2 in mains. That is government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from its design and implementations. So BharatNet, which is a flagship mission by the government of India, and the news is that the government has said that deadline, which was expected to reach by 2025, is going to be delayed further. But still, there's no anticipation about the time that when the final execution would be done. But अभी के लिए ये बताया गया है कि 2025 में complete नहीं होगी. Right? The mission is being implemented by the Department of Telecommunications under the Ministry of Communications. ये वर्ल्ड की एक सबसे बड़ी ऐसी प्रोग्राम है जो ब्रॉडबैंड कनेक्टिविटी प्रोवाइड कर रही है फॉर द रूरल एरिया. So this program is again something very significant for a country like India, which aims to connect the entire village, right? So एक पूरी जो bottom की hierarchy है उसको इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी से जोड़ने की कोशिश की जा रही है गवर्नमेंट के थ्रू, but it is taking a long time due to COVID-19 disruption and pandemic. The reason being this has also been extended. So National Optical Fibre Network, अगर बात करें भारत नेट से पहले जो गवर्नमेंट की प्रोग्राम थी उसको कहते थे नेशनल ऑप्टिकल फाइबर नेटवर्क, विच वाज लॉन्च्ड एक्चुअली वे बैक इन 2011 में इसको लॉन्च की गई थी. इसकी रीनेमिंग की गई 2015 में, विच वाज नेम्ड एज भारत नेट प्रोजेक्ट. नाउ आई विल मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज भारत नेट प्रोजेक्ट इज ऑल अबाउट. So first, let's understand what is the aim of this mission, why the BharatNet mission is going to do, what are the roadmap that is envisaged. So the government of India through the Department of Telecom has created a strategic plan जहाँ पे broadband connectivity की बात की गई है to almost 25 lakh panchayat on the fiber optical cable with a minimum speed of 100 Mbps, right? So almost जो village है that is 2,50,000, just to correct you. And जो speed जो देने की बात की गई है that is a minimum of 100 Mbps, right? So this is a good initiative. And even the network shall be used to provide e-governance services as well as internet facility in all panchayat. So this initiative will call for revamping the entire panchayat functioning in India and giving it a leverage in terms of getting a internet connectivity, which is a high-speed internet connectivity. Now, the entire project is funded by a Universal Services Obligation Fund. This is something a relevant point for the prelims examination. It might be asked in the examination. So you need to keep it watch. So this was set up for improving the telecom services in rural area and the remote area of our country. Now क्या objective है खास करके अगर बात करें भारत नेट प्रोजेक्ट की. So the objective is to facilitate the delivery of e-governance, e-health, e-education, e-banking. Internet banking is something which has taken a toll in India, and internet and other services for rural India. सो ऑल्दो ई गवर्नेंस जिस तरह से चल रही है उसके लिए इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी हर सारे शहरों में इवन फॉर द लोकल ब्लॉक एंड पंचायत लेवल इज वेरी एसेंशियल. वी आर इन द era of 21st century where internet connectivity is playing a very significant role in our daily life. Now looking into the BharatNet, that is the tagline is Ghar tak fiber, har ghar internet. Right? This tagline might be again important. So BharatNet is one of the biggest rural telecom project in the world and aims to connect almost Gram Panchayat with a broadband. And Honorable Prime Minister has inaugurated and launched 6 lakh villages to be connected in 100 days. That is, sorry, it's in 1000 days with a target by May 2023. Right now it is being expected. Let's see when this is going to be complete because इसमें और भी चीजें ऐड की गई तो डेडलाइन को बढ़ाया गया 2025 तक. But अभी के लिए we do not have clarity that when this is going to be completed. Now some achievement and how this is going to work. So basically this BharatNet is going to bridge the digital divide which is there in our country. Healthcare और education services में बहुत ज़्यादा काम होंगी इस पे. Efficient citizen delivery system because all the government functioning certificates and everything is online nowadays. तो एक जो citizen charter है, citizen services delivery system है, वो improve होगी. It will definitely stimulate the rural economy. Right? Although for farmers we have ENAM system, we have APMC, which is although integrated. So all this thing would help the farmers, the local people to get connected. Now talking about the achievements of BharatNet, this is the world largest rural broadband connectivity with 2.5 lakh gram panchayat covering 6 lakh villages. Now fiber optic connectivity hogi now available to more than 1 lakh gram panchayat under the phase 1 of the BharatNet. So there are multiple phases upon which the government is covering the entire villages. Third, all Gram Panchayat will have a Wi-Fi and spot by 2019. Non-discriminatory access to services that will be provided to mobile operations, internet service provider, cable TV operations and content provider. Now some MOU was also signed between the states and BharatNet for the phase 2. And Government of India is also collaborating with the states and telecom provider to provide high internet services that is based on the citizen services in rural area under the BharatNet infrastructure, and a dedicated fund has also been there so that the implementation part is not getting a problem. So finances की भी ध्यान रखी गई है ताकि इसकी implementation अच्छे से हो सके. So these are some of the highlights and achievement with regards to the BharatNet mission or project. Now progress so far, बात करें as of February, only 1.72 lakh of the initial target which was of 2.5 lakh gram panchayat has been connected और जो central grid है वो BharatNet से connect हुई है. Now as per the Department of Telecommunication official जो average है that is about 3,500 kilometer of optical fiber in every month and roughly 1,600 gram panchayat has to be connected. So these are the real time progress that India has actually made. And of this 1.5 lakh gram panchayat has been connected to 2017 with 3 years of the project. This is also going to be revamped in terms of extending the services to the rural and remote areas. Now the Prime Minister has expanded the scope of this project where he called that almost 6 lakh villages in the next 1000 days would be connected with 2.5 lakh gram panchayat in the entire India. So this is a broad vision of the Government of India in terms of getting rural India connected with the internet under the BharatNet project. Now the second news, that is goods export from pre-pandemic level. This is an achievement that India has made in terms of export sectors. This particular news is important for General Studies Paper 3, that is Indian economy and issue related to planning, mobilization, resource, growth and development. So according to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry Ministry, the total export were about 5% higher than 400 billion target, जो कि इंडिया ने almost 9 days पहले ही achieve कर ली थी. This is a big achievement that India has seen because we already witnessed a pandemic and even the situation like globally जिस तरह से यूक्रेन में क्राइसिस चल रही है उसको यूक्रेन रशिया की वॉर को लेकर भी इंडियन इकोनॉमी में जो इम्पैक्ट हुई उसके बावजूद भी द टारगेट वाज अचीव्ड. So the government has yet to release the data on imports, usually which is accompanied by the official data. So that is expected to be presented soon by the Government of India. Now looking into the merchandise import and export data. So the total merchandise import has crossed almost 550 billion for the February 2022. And this has led to the trade deficit of almost 175.75 billion. And this is for the first 11 months of this year. Bulk of merchandise exports की अगर बात करें, it has contributed to the engineering goods, agriculture products, and even for both it has hit all-time high for the year of 2021 and 2022. Engineering goods exports की अगर बात करें, it has grew up to 46% over a year that has, the data value is 111 billion, which is about 16 billion worth of the ship to the United States alone. These data might not be again important for you. I'll be discussing an infograph in the later part of this video that is going to be more informative. Now, agriculture exports की अगर बात करें, that has ranked to have almost 50 billion with a sharp rise in rice, wheat, marine products, coffee, and dairy products. Now, let's look into some of the important infograph that is going to help you to understand the actual export and import data for the India. Now, उससे पहले wheat के जो export है उसके बारे में आप जान लें. So the center has congratulated farmers for raising their productivity in wheat export, which is almost 2 lakh a ton for 1920 and 21.55 lakh ton for a year, or over 670 lakh ton in this particular year. So you can see the target has already been surpassed, and half of the wheat has been exported to Bangladesh, right? And India will continue to export wheat to many other countries, especially those countries who were affected by the Russia or Ukraine crisis. And it is expected that India is going to export almost 100 lakh ton of wheat comfortably. Now, some infograph that is again going to be relevant. So India ki jo good export hai, which has crossed 4 billion mark. How did India achieve this? They achieve by capturing the new market and products, also regain the lost market and the market share, and sourcing some products for more state district within the country. So these are some of the measures that the state government in collaboration with the central government has come up so that this target was actually achievable. Now, some things that you need to know, the factual data, that is India achieved this target of $400 billion 9 days ahead, and every month we were having approximately was 33 billion, every day 1 billion, and every hour 46 million goods were exported. These are some of the average data. Now, Atmanirbhar Bharat की बात करें Indian economy के context में. So for March, we have seen that the highest ever merchandise export was 21.5 billion. Now, the sudden surge that we have seen for 2022 is 40.4 billion. So you can see that the increase of almost 88%. And India diversified export portfolio has also increased. Now, petroleum product has been like landed up to 152%, cotton, yarn and fabric is 55%, gems and jewelry is 50%, engineering goods 46%, coffee is like 41%, and electronic goods is 41%. So these are some of the data that India has diversified the export portfolio. Now, export की अगर बात करें, जिस तरह से giant leap मिली इंडिया को, that number has reached almost 417.8 billion. This is still on counting. And expanding export footprint as a local goes global. And which are the food product, especially the agriculture item that has made a substantial contribution in terms of achieving a target of 400 billion. So some of them include rice, the marine products, wheat, spices, and the sugar. So these are some of the items that has actually contributed India's export basket that has substantially helped in achieving the target of $4 billion, right? Now, cases of infection from diabetics medication in India, something which is important for General Studies paper 2, issues related to development and management of health. So after the US and Canada, India has too admitted the incidence of rare infection which is coming out of the medication because of the diabetics. तो यहाँ पे ये देखा गया कि infections genitals और around areas में दी गई हैं वैसे patients को, those who are type 2 diabetics patients, right? So this has been witnessed by using inhibitors, which is called sodium glucose transporter 2. This is also known as SGLT2 inhibitors. Because of which this medication, some genitals region areas problem, which is also known as Fournier gangrene. These are the diseases that has been identified in India as well. So this becomes factually important for your prelims examination, right? So this is a rare disease of infection, which is also called as necrotizing fasciitis of perineum and referred as Fournier gangrene. Now about SGLT2 inhibitors, this is like sodium glucose transporter. This is an inhibitor of a class which prescribed as a medicine, and this is approved by FDA, but with certain limitation. This is only advised to be used with diet and exercise with low blood sugar, right, in adult and those who are type 2 diabetics. Now, these inhibitors has lower the blood sugar level by causing kidneys to remove sugar and even body through the urine. Now, the safety or efficacy की अगर बात करें inhibitors की, this has not been established with the patient of type 1 diabetics, और जो US की FDA है उन्होंने इसको अप्रूव भी नहीं किया हुआ है. So with certain limitations only SGLT2 inhibitors are allowed. So if it is being asked in examination, you need to know with what regard this is being used, how this is inhibiting, and for which category of patient this is relevant. Now, warning on the packages as a precautionary measure, जो इंडिया की ड्रग्स कंट्रोल स्टैंडर्ड कंट्रोल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है सिट्सको है, they have already requested the state drugs controller to direct the manufacturer of SGL2 inhibitors कि वो अपने वार्निंग को इंक्लूड करें कि इस तरह के ड्रग्स लेने के बाद जो जेनाइटल रीजन के एरियाज में प्रॉब्लम है वो परसिस्ट हो सकती है, लेकिन कंटिन्यू, राइट. सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द वार्निंग डायरेक्टली कमिंग फ्रॉम द ड्रग्स रेगुलेटर्स. Now, United States की जो Foods and Drug Administration है, they have cautioned about the rare infections which is coming around the genital area and being reported with the use of SGL2 inhibitors. According to India's Health Ministry, जो number of patients हैं इंडिया में with like the diabetics, still they are not known, but some cases has been reported. Now, as per the 10th edition of Diabetics Atlas 2021, जो International Diabetics Federation है उन्होंने estimate किया है that people age group between 20 to 79 is 74.2 million, and this is estimated to increase by 124.8 million by 2045. So it is very important to take care of your health, the lifestyle changes that is essentially required, cutting down to the sugar and having a good lifestyle and exercises is essentially important to secure yourself, or it can be a preservation or a prevention that is essentially required to not get into the part of the diabetic cycle. Now, moving to the other news, that is new accessibility guideline to use universal design approach. This particular news is important for General Studies paper 2, that is government policies and intervention for development of various sector and issues arising from a design and implementations. So recently the central government has said that they are planning to soon notify the latest version and guideline for standard, that is Harmonized Guideline for Standard Universal Accessibility 2021 for accessibility of construction sector and the professional who are associated with it, right? So the government is planning for a certificate courses as well for the students as well as for the government and private player that is going to be the part of the construction or infrastructure sector in our country. So about this draft, a brief I'll be just discussing with you. That is a draft of Harmonized Guideline and Standard for the Universal Accessibility is prepared by the team of Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, Housing and Urban Affairs जो Ministry think tank and National Institute of Urban Affairs, और उसके बाद they're also working with the Central Public Work Department that has also come up with this publication in 2021. एक revised version लाई गई है by government that they're submitting to the CPWD, and this likely will basically इस week के end में ये online भी publish होंगी. The entire draft would be made to the public. Now the guideline would also be incorporating the building by laws as well, right? So these are some of the things that would be incorporated into building laws, and other accessibility part is required in terms of infrastructure, and even the design part is concerned. Now जो harmonized guideline है that would provide to conduct the government and provide private construction to incorporate measures जहाँ पे universal accessibility होगी सारे stages of construction के लिए, apart from standard ramp, grab rails and facilities that is there with a person with disability. The guideline will also include the maintenance part, and this is going to be built a citizen connect among all the citizens, right? Now ramping up renewables, this is an editorial of the day from the Indian Express, and this particular editorial is important for General Studies paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollution and EIA. This particular editorial is written by Sumit Das Gupta. He is a senior visiting fellow at ICRER and former economic and commercial members of CEA. Now what I'll be discussing under this editorial, I'll be simplifying this editorial into 5 important subheads. The first include the background, second is two-part formula, third is the hydrogen generation, fourth is solar and wind generation, and the last is the way forward. The entire editorial focuses upon the tariff for the renewable generations. तो पावर जनरेशन टेरिफ्स की अगर बात करें इंडिया में, इसके दो इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट है. पहली ऐसी कंपोनेंट है दैट इज वर्किंग ऑन द जनरेटर, दैट इज कॉल्ड जनरेटर इनकम, विच इज नॉट लिंक्ड टू द अमाउंट ऑफ पावर जनरेटेड, and the second part is the quantum of generation, right? So these apply to both thermal and hydropower. but it does not apply to the renewable genres, which is solar, wind, and nuclear. So now the editorial wanted to ask that is there can be two tariff system in our country in terms of regulating and monitoring the entire process of the power generation in our country. तो टू पार्ट फार्मूला की बात की गई एंड द टू पार्ट फार्मूला जो वेरिएबल कॉस्ट है विच इज कैलकुलेटेड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ अ रेगुलेटरी कमीशन एज प्रिस्क्राइब्ड एंड दिस इज बेस्ड ऑन द कॉस्ट ऑफ द फ्यूल या फिर गैस हो, कोल हो या लिग्नाइट हो, जिस चीज़ों की यूज़ की जाती है अकॉर्डिंगली कॉस्टिंग सेट होती है. द फिक्स कॉस्ट इज डिटरमाइंड बाय द रेगुलेटरी कमीशन विद द कंसर्न कमीशंस. Now, hydropower generations की अगर बात करें, in case of hydropower generation, still we do not have any valuations for water, right? But coal की अगर बात करें, गैस की बात करें, तो वहाँ पे हमें पता होता है कि variable cost क्या है, but हाइड्रोजन के केस में variable costing की उतनी ज़्यादा पता नहीं है. The government is working, the experts are working on this, but we do not have clarity in this regard. So the entire cost of hydrogen station is fixed on cost on notionally, that is half the cost that is treated with the variable cost. Now, solar और wind generations की अगर बात करें, solar and wind generation is still governed by the single part tariff. और single part tariff जो है वो nuclear stations में भी अप्लाई की जा सकती है. The reason being the fact is that the technology of nuclear reactor does not usually increase or decrease in terms of generation. एक quick tempo है जो कि steady steam के साथ काम करती है. On the other hand, solar and wind generation account for about 10% of generation today. Now, as per the commitment of COP26, जो कि इंडिया ने ग्लासगो में की है, India need to ramp up almost 50% of the solar and wind generation by 2030. So these are some of the commitment that India has already made in the international forum like COP26 in Glasgow. Now, some way forward that you can conclude with this editorial, that first, essentially, it's required to have a fine balance between the proportion of fixed and variable cost that we have maintained. इसलिए टू प्रोग्राम जो टू पॉलिसी उसकी बात की गई है, टू प्राइसिंग की बात की है, and there is a need to have a create proper environment to ensure adequate return for the fresh investment coming into the renewable generations. And one of the most remember thing that India and government need to take is to fix the implementation in terms of private players and therefore make the market signal more important. So it is essentially important to introduce two power tariff for the renewable generation. Essentially it is required because the valuation is accordingly decided by the concerned commission, electricity commission, or the commission which is the part of that particular thing. So two tariff policy में renewable generations की बात की गई है. This might be again important for your mains examination. Now moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answer of Saturday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is A. Today's MCQ for practice, आपको बताना है the headquarter for United Nations Human Rights Council is located at which among the following cities? That is Canada, Berlin, Geneva, or Brazil. So do check it out for the correct options. Second question of the day, the OTT content in India is being monitored by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Law and Justice, and Ministry of Education. So this is again the easiest question that you can practice. And this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.